behind her and jerked the bolt back into place. It squeaked this time, but she willed herself to move. All she had to do was get the lock back on. Once she got to the main road at the end of the block, she could hail a taxi and she would be free. She clicked the padlock into place, grabbed her backpack, and ran. Almost there. She could see the lights of the cars at the end of the street. When she reached the corner, she doubled over, panting. The backpack had never felt so heavy. What did you pack in it? A bunch of lead weights? You should have left some of your books. Mariam shook her head, silencing those thoughts, and waved for a taxi. The white cab approached. The half block it had to cover to get to her seemed endless, like the stretch of the Kuwaiti desert. The cab pulled to a stop and she reached for the handle. The door opened and the world changed.
"Did you think you were going to get away?"
Tareq said to her with a cunning smile. He motioned toward the empty seat next to him.
"This will always be your place, right next to me."
Mariam turned to run, but the asphalt beneath her turned to quicksand, and the more she moved her legs, the deeper she sank. Tareq emerged from the cab and held out his hand.
"You pretend to fear me, to want to run from me, but I'm the only one who knows you."
Now waist deep in the quicksand, Mariam struggled as tears streaked her dust-stained cheeks. I can never get away from him. I can never get away from this life. The quicksand sucked her in, and she gasped her last breath as it passed her neck. She closed her eyes as the congealed red mud enveloped her completely. This is how I die. Before the thought could register, the mud was gone, transformed into a thick cloud of ash, and she was falling. There was air around her again, followed by a loud crash as her body rammed into something glass. Her vision flashed red once again, this time a different shade, that of her own blood. A ringing filled her ears and transformed into a high-pitched siren. She could see an ambulance a few paces ahead, coming toward her, but it wasn't slowing down. The sirens reverberated, and she realized that she had to get out of the way. The ambulance wasn't coming for her. It was coming at her. It's going to ram into me. She tried to move, but her limbs refused. All that she could do was open her mouth. Help me. Somebody help me. Ritika Ghosh bolted up awake. She tried to catch her breath as tears streamed down her face. She squeezed her eyes closed, begging the universe to put a stop to the nightmare. As her breathing slowed, she slid out of bed to shut her window. The sound of distant sirens waned as the window slammed shut. The noise disappeared and she shuddered. Even after so many years, sirens could still trigger her. They could take her back to that night, one that she wished with every fiber of her being that she could forget, that she could erase from history. She wiped the tears from her cheeks and crawled back into bed as her husband stirred and put his arm around her. She snuggled up against him, glad to have the comfort of his touch, although her pulse was still racing and she resisted the urge to close her eyes. Over the years, the nightmares had grown less frequent, but their impact had worsened. Her life was so far beyond the events of that night, yet she was still haunted. She practiced a breathing technique that she had learned in yoga class, and her body and mind started to calm. She had been through this cycle before. Eventually, sleep would take her, no matter how restless it would be. The next morning when Ritika opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was the window that she had closed the night before. Raj must have reopened it. There was a cool breeze coming in from the crisp November morning air, and the sun was streaming in. She sat up, looking out at the green grass and the leaves of the oak tree outside peeking over their chestnut wood pergola. There were no sirens this morning. She heard footsteps on the deck and saw Raj step outside holding a mug of coffee. He glanced toward her and smiled, gesturing for her to come join him. Ritika gave him a quick nod, and after splashing some water on her face, took a long, deep breath and looked at herself in the mirror. She was still reeling from the nightmare. Her wrist smarted as if she could feel Tareq's grip, pulling her toward him. She looked down at it. The scars from the cuts and bruises were long gone, and her arm looked just like it always had. Yet she could see it in her mind. She could feel herself.